Hi, this is Alessio. Hope you're well. As you know, there's not much happening on Bitcoin at the moment, so I would much rather focus my attention in this video to something that is actually potentially quite interesting right now, which is the stock markets. Now, why am I talking about the stock markets? Because of this. We are probably only a few points away from the all-time highs on the stock markets, for example, the S&P here. So you can see the S&P is not too far away right now from the all-time highs right there of about 3,025.86 by the looks of it. So we're not too far away. And here's why that's important. The reason why that's important is this. A few weeks ago, you might remember, when the markets plunged, they were very close. They were extremely close to generating what's called the Dow Theory sell signal. But as you know, the Dow Theory sell signal did not generate because the markets did not take out the prior lows. I mentioned in the previous video that if the stock market were to take out the prior August panic lows, if that happened, then that would generate the Dow Theory sell signal. That did not happen, so therefore there was no Dow Theory sell signal at the time. So what's happened is the markets have now reversed and gone higher, and they're now close to generating what's called a Dow Theory buy signal. I know it's crazy, right? But that's the way the markets work. So in other words, what we're saying is this: if the stock markets were to close, let me just squeeze this chart a little bit so we can get this in focus. So here's the deal on the S&P. If we just draw a line across the top here, across the highs, the all-time highs, all right. So let's say that's the prior highs of 3,025.86 by the looks of it. If the markets were to take out and close above that level, the prior resistance, that generates what's called a Dow Theory buy signal. And by the way, that's just a technical term for the specific signal called a Dow Theory or Dow Theory buy signal. It does not necessarily mean that we have to actually buy into the market. But here's what's interesting to me. Let's say the stock market does actually do that. Let's say the markets, the S&P, does break out higher and close above the all-time highs. And let's say it does generate the Dow Theory buy signal. The question is, does this mean necessarily that the markets are going to massively surge higher and go into another bull market? In other words, the continuation of the bull market higher.
I don't believe that for a second.
I have to tell you, I agree with the cat. I think it's quite doubtful. And there's several reasons for this. Let me just show you. The first reason has to do with this. Take a look at this chart. This is the chart of stock market seasonality. In other words, how the markets behave in different times of the year. And as you'll see here, September seasonally is actually the worst period of the month. So September has a rather bad reputation in the sense that usually the markets are quite negative and they usually drop. In fact, September and October are usually the most negative and volatile months of the year. Now, I should say that sometimes when September is not volatile and negative, what happens is the negativity and volatility translates into the next month, into October. So it skips a month, in other words. So that's something worth remembering, the fact that September and October are quite volatile periods and usually negative months for the stock market. So that's one thing. The second thing is most stock markets are actually quite overbought. So S&P is overbought. That there is also something else that's also very much overbought and is a very important market to keep an eye on. And that's the Russell 2000 index. So keep an eye on this chart, the Russell 2000. Here's why. By the way, if you're not familiar with the Russell 2000, essentially these are the small cap stocks. These are smaller companies. So often the small cap stocks, the Russell, sometimes leads the way. What happens to this particular market can often be an important leading clue for the markets, for the stock markets. Take a look at this, and here's something very fascinating. Firstly, you will notice that the Russell has hit an important resistance, the downtrend line you see here. So we've connected the highs, prior highs, as you can see, and we've just hit that level again. Not only have we hit that resistance, but also we have formed a rather bearish looking candlestick pattern, sort of a doji or shooting star candlestick pattern right here, as you can see. And on top of that, we also are overbought. So we are overbought here, as you can see there on the RSI. So the bottom line is, given all these factors, the overboughtness on the stock markets, the fact that we've hit resistance, the fact that this is looking quite a bearish candle here, I got to tell you, when I see a chart like this, I mean, I love this chart. When I see a chart like this, I'm itching. I'm absolutely itching.
itchy.
You probably should have packed the itch eraser.
No, I don't mean that kind of itching. I mean, I'm tempted. I'm extremely tempted to short this market. So if I was very brave, if I had massive cojones, I'd probably want to short this today and put a stop loss above the highs, okay? And then look for this to potentially drop lower. But since I'm not that brave, okay, I don't have those massive cojones, I'm going to wait this out. So I think probably the safest thing to do is let's wait and see if we get a reversal signal first. So if we see some kind of reversal signal, some kind of confirmation that it wants to go lower, for example, then maybe I'd consider taking a shot at shorting it with a stop loss above the highs. But at the moment, there isn't much of a reversal signal as yet. And the bottom line is this. If the Russell starts to turn weaker, and if the Russell starts dropping, that could be an indication, a leading indication for the overall major markets. All right. On the other hand, if the Russell actually does the opposite, if the Russell breaks through the resistance trend line you see here and continues to push higher, making new highs, that actually might be quite a bullish signal for the major stock markets. Hey guys, just want to let you know before I finish the video, just something quite important. This Thursday, on 19th of September, I'm doing a very important live webinar. It's a live and free webinar on the top trade exit strategies. So this Thursday, I'm going to do a special live webinar, and again, free webinar, on the exit strategies for both long-term and short-term strategies, or long-term and short-term trading. So this is one webinar you don't want to miss, because let me tell you, a lot of people seem to be only focused on entry methods or entry strategies, but they completely forget the other side of the equation, which is the exit strategies. All right, guys. So again, this is one webinar you don't want to miss. Make sure you register and attend this webinar. I'll put the link for you in the description, or you can go directly to this link to register, which is leadingtrader.com/exit strategy. When you go on that page, please put your name and your email address and then click register, and then wait for the confirmation email to come through, and then just follow the steps in the email, and then you'll be registered for this webinar. All right, guys. I look forward to seeing you this Thursday. Thanks very much, and see you in the next video update. Bye for now.